Hi again, everyone. This is Jolie coming at you again. We can do this. Welcome back to my channel. I am so glad you could join me today. It's great to have you back, or if you're watching the replay, I really appreciate your support. Well, here we are again. It is a gorgeous Saturday. I'm sitting out on my deck, as you can tell. However, you can tell I'm not on my laptop, I'm on my phone because I'm having some technical difficulties. But that's okay. We can make this work just as good. So before I start today, I'm going to remind you to subscribe and like. I get so excited whenever I get those comments and I get the live chats, and I really appreciate the support. So if you like what I'm doing, please remember to subscribe and like below. And we are going to talk about negative thoughts. Dum, dum, dum. Those thoughts, darn negative thoughts. How many times have we all got these negative thoughts in our mind and we just can't stop thinking them? And it's like they won't go away. We can't seem to control them. And the longer they hang in there, the more intrusive and intense, and they tend to get really intense, and they just seem to grow. They have a life of their own. And there's one thing I know that we can all relate to. We've all had those moments where we just couldn't stop thinking. We couldn't go to sleep because of them. So what's something we can do? How do we identify, what it is? How do we break it down? How do we what steps can we take to go through it and understand it? And what can we do to help ourselves, help ourselves through this whenever we get these negative thoughts? So, and let's face it, thoughts are a very powerful thing. They can come on at the drop of a hat. They can be good, they can be bad, but how do we handle them? We have to identify what's causing it. Do we even know what's causing the negative thoughts? I mean, sometimes negative thoughts come in my mind and I'm like, where the heck did that come from? There's no prescription. There's no easy template. There's nothing that's easy to handle these types of thoughts, but there are different things we can do. Three of which are we could take medication, we could go to therapy, or we could change our lifestyle. Now, what I'm going to concentrate on today is lifestyle changes. And, I'll mention therapy later because, that's my thing. But we're going to talk a little bit first about, what lifestyle changes can we make? What can we do? So we have to understand and recognize that we are very much creatures of habit. We love to have things be the same over and over again. We love going through the pattern day to day. We're very much creatures of habit. So undoing these negative behaviors in the mental programming, it's not easy. We need to learn to recognize these automatic negative thoughts that we have, and we need to remember and need to find a way to be a lot kinder to ourselves, and not let these intrusive thoughts come into our head and more so stay there. So I'm going to talk first about should versus try. These are two words I never really thought a lot about in depth, but I can tell you that the word should, I've realized in my research, is a very harsh word, and I never really thought about it. But it's very harsh because when you say you should do something, it's something that you are opening yourself up for, that if you fail at it, you're going to trigger guilt and frustration in your life. If you're going to say, you should do that. You should do that. Yeah, you absolutely should. You feel that state of anxiousness, like, oh, I got to do it. I got to do it. I got to do it. And maybe you're putting your stress on yourself when it's something that it's maybe even an impossible task that you're not going to be able to do. And that's what you don't want to do, is you don't want to set yourself up for failure from the beginning. So the word try is a lot more open-ended. It's a lot more being kind to yourself. Like, instead of saying, I should go to the gym every day, you could say, I will try my best, and here's how I'm going to try to do that. Or another thing you might say is, I should eat healthier. But if you say, I'm going to try to eat healthier, and here's the steps I'm going to take to help do that. It's very much a more realistic situation. You're putting yourself, making yourself realistic goals without the pressure that's with it. If you don't do that, you're going to put so much additional pressure on yourself, which none of us needs these days as added pressure. It's just going to lead you to be more anxious and more upset, and none of us want that. Listen to the thoughts. Listen to what your thoughts are saying, you know, and cut yourself some slack. You know, let's face it, mistakes are a part of life. We all make them. Goodness knows. I make mistakes every day of my life, and not just one, several. You know, we're all human. We all do it. So cut yourself some slack. So what we need to do is recognize these negative thoughts. And there's a word for it. And I'm going to give you the definition as well. The term is ANT. And I've actually heard this term before. It's called automatic negative thoughts. And ants are very, very intense. The definition of it is your first thought when you have a strong feeling or reaction to something, like a reflex rather than free thinking. So, like when somebody says something to you, boom, like that. Like that. It's your first thought that you have. You know, these thoughts, your first reaction, and I know I'm this way, they can send you into almost a panic moment where you're almost paralyzed with panic and fear. So how do we identify these? You know, obviously we're feeling them, but what we need to do is we need to take a look at three things. Three things right there, three things. We need to look at breaking down whatever the scenario is into three things. First is the situation. Second is, what's our mood? What mood are we in? And then thirdly, the thought or image that automatically comes to our mind. So how can we make these thoughts productive? And the one big thing we need to do, and I'm bad at this, really bad, is take the emotion out of it. Be like Sherlock Holmes. Facts, ma'am, just the facts. Although I think they said that on Dragnet too. I love that show. The old one from like the 60s. It was great. But anyway, stick to the facts. Take the emotion out of it. So look at your situation. What situation is causing your anxiety? And break it down into who, what, where, and when. Who's there with you? What were you doing? Where were you? And when? When did this happen? Number two, what mood? And this is a big one. You may not just have one mood. You may have a couple different moods when you're reacting to these ants. What you need to do is identify every mood that you're feeling, however many there are. And what you do is you put a percentage of intensity to each one of those moods and identify which mood is the number one kahuna. Which mood is the one that is the big deal? And, say you're feeling three different moods. Say you have one that's 80%, and then the other two would make up the other 20%. Now, it doesn't have to be exact, just go with your gut. However you're feeling, break it down and see what moods you're feeling and which one is the predominant one. And that's the one you need to go after in an ant. And then three, what are the thoughts, automatic thoughts that are running in your mind? List them. And I'm going to give this example because this isn't very a nice thing I do to myself, but I do it. And usually it's at work. It's not at home usually, but you never know. At work, if I say I do something and I make the comment, I can't cope with this. I just can't do this. I'm not trained enough to do this. I just can't. This is not my best thing. It's not my forte. I'm just not going to do it well, whatever it is. When I break that down into the tasks we just talk about, if someone tells me I have to do something and then right away I say these negative thoughts, I play out, what you can do is play out the worst case scenario, whatever it is. How do you feel about it? And I identify it as, okay, I'm afraid and here's why. I'm scared and here's why. I can't do this and here's why. Here's why why it's affecting me negatively. And if my anxiety has any legs to stand on whatsoever, I need to be realistic. I need to gain control of my emotions and stick to what is reality. What are the facts here? You focus on credible evidence. You need to focus just like Sherlock Holmes. You focus on what is the real situation, not what is coming out negatively. Like credible evidence, for my thought, is I'm saying this because I was supposed to have this training to make myself better and I didn't have it. So I'm insecure about it. Or I've done this task before and I made a mistake and I didn't do well on it. So I feel very hesitant and I feel uneasy that I'm going to make another mistake. Well, that's not credible. I mean, that was then. That's not now. That's not this situation, and part of my problem is I have a lack of confidence. I have very low confidence, and I've been trying to work on that for years. But the credible evidence would be, well, that's not true. That was just a mistake. Anybody can make a mistake. I'm not a moron. I'm not an idiot. That's not true. I'm not incompetent. I am very competent. I am a very good worker. I'm very competent at what I do. I love what I do. But if I'm unsure of myself in a moment, that's where it's coming from. So I need to take that emotion out of it and look at it and say, you know what, I can do this. It's no big deal. I can do this. Put that negative thought away. Now, that means finding that alternative positive thought. Now, once you find that positive thought, we've broken things down into small tasks. We've identified what it is. We're checking in with those thoughts and we're going to give ourselves a break and we're going to take that emotion out of it. And we're going to look at facts. And now I will tell you this. There is absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, wrong with admitting that you're feeling mentally stressed or strained or you're uncomfortable with something or you're scared. There is nothing wrong with that, because whenever you do that, that empowers you. That is the first step in combating the mental strain. Admitting it's there, and just, it is what it is. Just take it at face value. Don't read into it. Don't let it overwhelm you. Embracing it, what it is, takes a lot less energy than it is to dread it. It's kind of like, what they say, it's easier to smile than it is to frown because there's less muscles involved. So it's a lot easier to accept it and takes a lot less energy to just accept it versus dreading it and stressing out over it and, using extra energy that just, doesn't need to be. Understanding your anxiety about it, that's what helps you manage it. Once you identified it, what triggered you. Once you identify that, that is a way that you take control of the thought and the situation. And then you can act on it. Now, and remember, there's always another option there. There's never forget that there's never always one answer. I've had things happen in my life where I was dreading it and I'm like, this is the only answer. This is the way it's going to happen. Oh my gosh, I'm stressing over this. I can't handle it anymore. Well, then I forget that there's an alternative B. And sometimes when you're so into it, you forget to see, you're not seeing clearly all the alternatives that may be available to you. There may be a chance to say no, opting out of whatever it is. There's always options out there. And then finally, what we can do is, and this is one of my favorites, I love saying this because it's something that I try to remember to do in my life, and I give advice a lot to a lot of my friends and stuff. Always take baby steps. Now, just because you find a positive answer, sometimes, no matter how hard we try to change our thought pattern and to put that positive thing in place, you just can't. Sometimes you just can't. This is not a guarantee. This is just a tool that can maybe help you. There's no guarantee to it, but just remember that simply recognizing we have that thought there and we've acknowledged it. Sometimes that's enough. You shouldn't ever, even if you can identify something positive, you can't force it to take place of a negative ant. You can try, but forcing it just is not going to happen. This is a process. This is a process and a tool that you can use, and it's going to take time to work up to a point where you can use this tool and have that positive thought replace the negative. But don't get frustrated about it. It's okay to feel how we feel. Remember, tomorrow's another day. Today is today. Tomorrow's another day. And if it's something that's a really, really bad situation for you, the negative thoughts, by all means, if this tool doesn't help, you feel it's not helping you, and you don't feel any better, and you just feel like that you're maybe even getting worse, I always say, go get professional help. I'm not a professional. I am not a trained professional. I am not a counselor. I am not a therapist. I am not a doctor. I am not trained in those fields by any means. I am here and I give tips, things that have helped me, research that I do to try to maybe help somebody else. By all means, if something isn't working for you or you don't feel like something like this would help you, get professional help. Go to a therapist. Get with your PCP doctor. Go to a psychiatrist. Go to someone who is trained in helping people with these types of issues. By all means, don't even think twice about it. If you feel like something like this can help you, great. But if not, take that step and do it. Because I can tell you from experience, the stronger people are the ones who reach out for help. The stronger people are the ones that go for therapy and admit that they need help, maybe with medicine or whatever it may be, or reach out to their PCP. Those are the strong people. Those are the ones who admit they need help. There's strength in that. There's empowerment in that. It's the ones who are weak and don't admit they have a problem. They're the ones that are creating havoc for us that we don't know how to handle. We don't know what to do with these people. They're very weak when they don't admit they have problems or that they need help. And I feel sorry for people like that. So there's my 2 cents today on those negative ants and what can you do to help yourself, to help your way of thinking, steps you can take, breaking it down. And I can tell you, I've got some chats here. So let's do this. Okay, Mark, there you are. There's a lot more serious negative thoughts people have. Some are so bullied and stressed. A lot of a friend or family member. Oh, absolutely. That's why I picked this topic. It's because I know I've talked to tons of people about this, and they all say the same thing. We've all been there, we've all done this, we've all felt this way. And what could be better than finding something that just makes us stop and say, hey, whoa, and something that may help one of a friend or a family member or a neighbor or something. That's what we're here for. That's what my channel is all about, is helping others. And, if I can provide a tool and some things that I've learned along the way to help, absolutely. And yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's all about. So with that being said, I want to remind you all, please remember to subscribe and like down below, however you're seeing it on your screen. And as always, I'm going to give you my teaser for next week. And I did a lot of thinking this week about what I wanted to do next week. And there have been some things that have happened recently, and I won't go into them, but I decided I wanted to talk about having gratitude. I think in today's world, and how stressed we are and how rough everything, how life is, whether it's work or home, we're all busy and we're tired and all that. I think a lot of times we tend to concentrate on the misery because it's really easy to do that. Oh, I hate my life. I don't have anything. You look at that guy, they have so much the materialistic stuff, they've got that. I don't have that. And, I can't get that, whatever. We really tend to go to the negative because it's kind of easier to go there. And the world around us is negative. There's not a lot of good stuff happening. But what we need to remember is there are good things happening. A lot of times it's just that the news and the way it's reported, it's just dramatized, and they dramatize a lot on the negativity. And I think we just need to remember to be grateful. We do have some great things in our lives. It's just easy to forget them. So I'm going to talk about gratitude next week. That's what I want to talk about. And I'm excited to be talking about that one. So with that being said, as I always do, I'm going to sign off for the week with my usual sign off. And here it goes. We can do this. We got this. I can and I will. And I know you can too. So I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. And until next Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, join me again to talk about gratitude. Have a great rest of the weekend. Have a great week next week. Take care of yourselves. And I look forward to seeing you again. So till next time, bye-bye. Take care.